Welcome to the D.E.A.D podcast, where I discuss all things spooky and weird. I am Desi, and today I'll be talking about sirens. Let's get started. Hey everyone, how is everyone doing tonight? I hope y'all are doing good. I am back. I am feeling better from my COVID. It was terrible, but I'm glad I took the week off to recover and I was able to work on the podcast and get ahead. So I was happy for that at least. But I am back this week and I am drinking another one of my Cayman Jack margarita mixes and in my skull glass. And I am wearing a new spooky shirt tonight. My mom got this for me and I was super excited. It is Halloween 2 and it has like Michael Myers and then like this cool slash through his like part of his eye. It's like orange. And then it has him like all over around him and it's just like it's cool. It's a really cool graphic. There's one like towards the bottom where he's like holding a knife up, but it's really cool. It's new at Walmart in the men's section in case anyone wants to go look for that. But I will post a picture of it and so that's what I'm wearing tonight. We are going to be talking about sirens. So let's get started. Sirens have been depicted in several forms over the centuries. In Greek mythology, sirens are often depicted as enchanting creatures possessing the head of a beautiful woman and the body of a bird, similar to the harpies. However, interpretations vary, with some stories describing them more akin to mermaids, blending the features of women and fish. Sirens are considered to be evil creatures who live in the sea. Generally, they are depicted as beautiful women with the tails of fish, but they can also be shown as scary humanoid creatures with sharp teeth for tearing apart humans. Sirens are known for luring in sailors with their haunting singing voice and enchanting songs, and then killing them. It is said that once a sailor heard the siren song, he was doomed to follow it, suggesting it was extremely powerful. Some sirens are benevolent and have been known to rescue drowning humans, while others are monstrous and are able to sink entire ships. Sirens' origins trace back to ancient Greece, where they were first introduced in Homer's epic poem, The Odyssey. Moreover, in Homer's tale, sirens were portrayed as seductive bird-like creatures whose enchanting songs lured sailors to their doom on rocky shores. This portrayal of sirens as alluring and perilous beings set the stage for their enduring symbolism. Additionally, the name Sirena itself is derived from the Greek word "sirene", which is believed to have originated from "sira", meaning rope, or "sirios", meaning hot or scorching. This possibly signifies their power to enthrall and ensnare sailors. Over time, the concept of a siren evolved, becoming not just harbingers of destruction, but also symbols of femininity, sensuality, and the deep, mysterious depths of the ocean. In Christianity, they are symbolic of dangerous temptations, and some Jesuit writers asserted their actual existence, who described such a woman as having the glance of a basilisk, an enchanting voice, and beauty that defies reason. A voice and sight alike deal destruction and death. Some argue that they were built aboard Noah's Ark. In Russian mythology, the siren were portrayed as wearing a crown or with a halo. She sang to the saints of future fortune but was dangerous to humans. Often, men fought their hypnotic spells by shooting cannons, ringing bells, and making other loud noises to make them fly off. However, the siren was seen as positive, symbolizing eternal joy and divine happiness. Only happy people could hear the siren. In terms of appearance and abilities, a siren is typically depicted as a beautiful half woman, half fish creature. Their upper body resembles that of an alluring human woman, complete with captivating features, while their lower half transforms into a fish's tail, elegantly colored and shimmering with aquatic splendor. This captivating combination of human and fish characteristics is meticulously crafted to entice and enchant those who gaze upon them. However, Sirens' most famous attribute lies with their mesmerizing voice. It is worth noting that their singing has a profound and almost mystical effect on those who hear it. Consequently, it is said that their singing can captivate even the most steadfast and seasoned sailors, effectively luring them into treacherous waters. Moreover, their voices are often described as akin to liquid gold, an irresistible melody that beckons with promises of love and ecstasy, only to lead those who listen astray, deepening the allure of these enigmatic beings. A siren embodies the allure and beauty of the feminine form. Their captivating appearance and enchanting songs symbolize the power of feminine charm and sensuality. A siren serves as a warning against the allure of temptation and the perils of succumbing to desire. Their songs represent the seductive allure that can lead individuals astray, often with disastrous consequences. A siren's fish-like lower body symbolizes the mysteries and depths of the ocean. They often assume the role of guardians and protectors of the sea, embodying its beauty and danger. In some interpretations, a siren represents a longing for freedom and independence. Their fishtails allow them to navigate the open waters of the ocean, free from the constraints of the land. The fusion of human and fish attributes in a siren's appearance reflects the idea of transformation and the coexistence of different elements in nature. A siren's enduring presence in mythology and folklore has led to a plethora of stories and adaptations across cultures. Here are some notable tales involving a siren. The first, the Odyssey. In Homer's epic poem, The Odyssey, the encounter with the sirens is a pivotal moment in Odysseus's arduous journey back home after the Trojan War. The sirens' allure is so potent that they pose a grave threat to his return. To resist their irresistible song, Odysseus devises a clever strategy. He has his crew plug their ears with beeswax, rendering them deaf to the sirens' enchanting melodies. However, Odysseus, driven by an insatiable curiosity, chooses a different path. He orders his crew to tie him up to the mast of his ship so that he can hear the siren song without being able to act on his desires. This act of self-restraint underscores the theme of temptation and the resilience of the human spirit against alluring but destructive forces. It also illustrates the power of curiosity, showing that even the wisest of heroes can be susceptible to the siren's mystique. The next is The Little Mermaid. Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid explores the story of a young mermaid princess who dreams of becoming human to be with her beloved prince. This beloved fairy tale touches on themes of unrequited love, self-sacrifice, and the longing for transformation. The Little Mermaid's sacrifice is profound. She trades her melodious voice for legs, enduring immense pain with every step she takes on land. This act of sacrifice underscores the notion of giving up a fundamental part of oneself for the pursuit of love and a dream. The story delves into the complexities of desire and the sacrifices we may make to attain our heart's deepest desires, all while weaving a narrative that continues to resonate with readers of all ages. The next is Merrow. In Irish folklore, the Merrow, or Marine, or Murine, are mermaids with a distinct cultural twist. Unlike the seductive sirens, people often depict Merrow as benevolent beings. These Irish mermaids possess a magical red cap called Cohuilín Druith, which grants them the ability to live on land as humans. The presence of the Cohuilín Druith symbolizes the duality of identity, the idea that one can exist in two worlds simultaneously. This theme of dual existence speaks to the universal human experience of navigating multiple roles and identities in life. The Merrow's red cap is a powerful symbol, signifying the delicate balance between embracing one's true self and adapting to the demands of the external world. In Greek mythology, people often mention the Harpies in the same breath as the Sirens because of their shared bird-like features and their captivity for mischief. Moreover, the Harpies, portrayed as winged creatures with women's faces, have a reputation for their disruptive actions. These actions include stealing food from those who cross their path and tormenting individuals they encountered. Their actions symbolize chaos and disorder in the natural world. The Harpies serve as a stark contrast to the enchanting yet destructive allure of the Sirens. While both creatures embody aspects of the unknown and the untamed, the Harpies evoke fear and disorder, whereas the Sirens evoke desire and temptation. This dichotomy highlights the multifaceted nature of mythological beings and their ability to embody a range of symbolic meanings. Sirens remain popular because they explore deep and universal themes. These include the mix of beauty and danger, the charm of the unknown, the pull of temptation, and the human desire for change and freedom. Throughout history, sirens have influenced art, literature, and pop culture. They've inspired everything from ancient sculptures and paintings to modern books and movies. In music, a siren song refers to something irresistibly tempting. A siren is also seen as a symbol of female empowerment. They represent women's strength and the ability to assert their desires in a world that may try to hold them back. In myth and storytelling, a siren continues to captivate their blend of beauty, danger, and mystery. Their stories highlight our fascination with the unknown and the power of imagination, showing how myths and legend remain relevant and compelling. Now I'm going to be reading you 3 supposed encounters with sirens. The first one. This was around a year ago, in July 2018. I was on a trip to Goa, India, with some of my friends, and we were on this rented yacht in the Arabian Sea, Indian Ocean, for the night. A lot of us were drunk as hell, except for me. I stayed away from the bottles that day because of a bet with a friend. He bet me around $20 that I couldn't go 2 vacation days without drinking or smoking. Early on in the night, some of my more intoxicated friends decided to look out at the vast sea and yelled excitedly that they'd seen mermaids around us, which turned out to be dugongs, marine mammals commonly mistaken for mermaids. This was at around 11:30 to 12 at night, and I helped get them back inside with the others. The party had died down by around 2 or 3 a.m., and I decided to enjoy the view of the sea with a good old late night snack, a pack of barbecue Lay's potato chips. I was about halfway through the pack when I noticed these strange human-like figures coming up out of the water, and I, assuming they were actually mermaids seen by my drunk friends, decided to get a closer look. They formed what I think was a circle around the boat and drew closer. Now I could tell that they had long dark hair, it was a moonlit night, and that they had grayish white faces. They did not rise very far above the water. I could only see their shoulders at most. I was still assuming they were somewhat ugly mermaids in poor lighting, and tried waving at them, at which they all stared in my direction. They began to emit what I now feel was the most ghastly wailing I'd ever heard. It was oddly mesmerizing, and as I inched closer to the railing, I felt a strong urge to join them in the water. But I started to back away when I saw their eyes. They had no irises or any white, but just plain black. Their mouths seemed to grow in size, and that was when my eyes convinced my ears not to give in. I dropped my chips and pulled away from the railing and fought my urges to jump over, and I ran inside, shutting the door behind me and falling to the ground. Everyone else was asleep, and the wailing just stopped abruptly. I was far too afraid to go outside at this point, so I decided to lose the bet and have a fairly good amount of Henny and rum that my friends had left. I passed out, and the next morning no one was missing, so that was good. No one believed me though, and we had to head back to the hotel in the afternoon. Encounter number 2. Hey guys, this happened to me a year ago, and I've gone back and forth on what it could possibly have been for the entire time. I've told some close friends who've not been able to offer any ideas, so at this point I'm really just putting this out there to see if anyone else has had a similar experience. Last December, I was visiting a shore town in New Jersey with my family, Cape May. We had been out drinking. It was around midnight when my boyfriend and I went for a walk on the beach. I grew up next to the ocean, so going for late night walks there is no stranger to me. Now, the alcohol has to do with why we didn't bring coats, but not much else. This is where my memory cuts out. My boyfriend told me we were about 100 yards from the ocean when I turned to him and said, "I'm going to the water now. Don't follow me." I'm pretty strong-willed, so he gave me a little space. Next thing I remember, I am hysterically crying, talking to something I can't see in the water, saying, "I don't want to die," literally begging out loud for my life with something in the water that is trying to pull me in. At this point, I have on only socks, and I am walking on the jetty. For those who don't know, it's a bunch of rocks that's just out into the ocean and slowly disappear the deeper it gets. They're wet and slippery, and it's December, so the water is very cold and continuing to splash up on the jetty. I sit down and I'm staring into certain sections of the water again, just saying over and over how I don't want to die, and please don't make me do it. I couldn't see anything beneath the surface of the water. I just felt this magnetic pull to where it was and knew exactly what it wanted me to do. Then I heard and saw my boyfriend coming down the jetty to me, looking very concerned. Whatever the magnetic pull thing had been immediately ended, and I basically ran to him and we left the beach. I just want to make a couple of things clear. I never in my right mind would ever walk out on the jetty at night or in the winter time. It's dangerous on a sunny day in the summer because those rocks can get so slippery, and if you fall in, you can die getting pushed up against the rocks. The second thing is, I have never ever been a suicidal person. The thought of suicide had never crossed my mind until that night, and even then, I didn't want to do it. Third is the ocean used to be my favorite place in the world. I would literally spend hours in there and be completely content. This summer, I barely went in past my waist, and I didn't stay long because I was so afraid that thing might come back. I have no idea what happened because I couldn't see anything. I could just feel it, and I could hear it in my head. I've gone through a list of things, and I've Googled, and really found nothing. The third and final encounter. I have never been one to believe in angels and demons, ghosts, vampires, etc. That might be why I didn't get a hint of warning when I saw the signs to put on earmuffs as I passed through the Greek islands. I work for a local scuba company here in Athens. We were scouting some extreme offshore beaches and islands to sell to some adventurous tourists. I went alone on this trip because usually you can't find any new islands because the whole area has been mapped out, the Greek Empire and such. I also just like a long boat ride. Watching the city shrink into oblivion is quite a sight. But I wouldn't be writing this if nothing happened to me. At first, everything was normal. The sun shined the same, and the waves still beat against the hull. I passed a sign that was quickly duct taped to a buoy. It had a drawn picture of a man holding a pair of earmuffs to his ears. Where else would you wear them? I was just confused and thought that it was part of some deep sea mystery another tourist company was planning. A little while after, that is when it started. At first it wasn't much, just a light hum. I almost completely ignored it, but I didn't. It was so unique. It grew louder. It became a harmonious tune, almost heavenly. The sun grew brighter and more brilliant. The waves became more vibrant and reflective. The air itself became charged with energy. I didn't know what I was doing before I did it. I started turning the wheel. I followed the boat through fog and beautiful cliff sides that weren't on any map that I could find, but I didn't care. After what seemed like a lifetime of pure bliss, I arrived at an island. Gorgeous rocks towered on the beach, the waves crashing onto white sands. The harmonious tune has grown into the most beautiful song that I could never imagine. This is when I should have turned back. This is when I should have left and never looked back. But I didn't leave. I followed an invisible path up the mountainside. It felt like I took this path every day, despite this being the first time I haven't ever seen this island. I didn't know where I was going. Hell, at this point, I didn't even have control of my own limbs. After another lifetime of enjoyment of songs, as I hiked up to the top of the trail, I found a woman. But she was more than a woman. She was golden and had a misty and warped atmosphere around her. I couldn't completely focus on her. It was almost as if my brain couldn't identify her as a human. I'll tell you though, she was very human. You don't need clothes on a desert Greek island. This is where I made my near fatal error. For a brief moment, I locked eyes with her. This is where I made a near fatal error. For a brief moment, I locked eyes with her. What I saw look back at me wasn't lust or joy, but anger, death, and the slightest amount of fear, as if she was going to regret what she was about to do. The look of her eyes started to unravel her. Her atmosphere warped and became more clear. Slowly, the air lost its golden touch, and the singing became similar to an out-of-tune violin. It started off quiet, but grew exponentially louder by the second. Her face developed into a decaying exception of a woman's face. Her jaw dropped, and I could see through the holes of her cheeks. Gashes through her neck looked almost like makeshift gills, allowed me to see into her throat. Her thin and rotting body stood unnaturally strong. She smiled at me, and, for a moment, I saw the woman again. She walked towards me, raising her eyebrows at me. Then she shoved me to the ground. Her razor-sharp teeth bit into my neck. I kicked against her and shoved her to the ground. I looked away, and I heard the most painful scream I would ever hear. It was so loud, the very earth shook. I stumbled all the way down the mountain. I could feel something wet oozing from my ears, probably my eardrum. When I arrived at the beach, I saw that the magnificent rock pillars turned out to be shipwrecks, a lost cruise ship, an old spice vessel from the Middle Ages. I even saw a couple of planes. I shoved my boat into the water and dove into the wheel. I looked behind me to see a decaying woman running at unhuman-like speed, at times even crawling to go faster. I didn't stop to think until I arrived at the ports. I don't know about vampires or Bigfoot, but this is real. Whatever lies beyond the shore, every legend is real. My ears still hurt. I went to the doctor, but he said it was just a small rupture. I can still hear the violin when I go boating. That brings me to the end of this episode. Thanks for listening to the D.E.A.D podcast. Please follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at the D.E.A.D podcast. Also, feel free to send in your stories, episode suggestions, or feedback at the D.E.A.D podcast 1 at gmail.com, or send me a DM on Instagram. Also, be sure to check out the D.E.A.D podcast merch. The link is in the show notes. If you enjoyed this show, please rate and review the podcast on whatever platform you are listening on, and be sure to come back next week for my next episode.